the key is implementing the practice that goes into delivering a good speech.
We need to get on bigger stages. The more people that hear our message, the more we can impact the world, help people.
If we want to get better in 2024, if we want to accomplish a lot more, buy back time. I really believe by honing better skills, you're able to be more productive and you're buying back time to make memories.
If you want people to view your content, you have to understand these 5 things. First is you have to get people's attention. If you don't get people's attention, they're going to scroll through. It used to be about 7 seconds you had to get people's attention on commercials, on TV. Now it's 1 to 3, and I think it's closer to the 1.
1 second, 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then second, second is, hey, what are the pain points? What is the problem people are facing? If you can address that, people are going to be drawn in. And then after that, there has to be some sort of credibility. If you want people to listen to you, then there's got to be some sort of credibility. So in the beginning days, when I didn't have a lot of credibility, I used to use a lot of examples from Martin Luther King, from Jim Rohn, from Gandhi, Mother Teresa. And that started giving me credibility because I was sharing other people's successes and what they did to get there. So I was doing the research, I was putting in the work to make it easy for people to understand what that person did to become something great. So then after the credibility, now people are ready for the solution. They're like, okay, you got my attention, you addressed the problem, the pain point I'm facing, there's credibility there. Now, give me the solution. So then you give the solution, and then 5th, whatever the call to action is that you want people to take. Like, what action do you want people to take after that? And if you can address those 5 things, your content in 2024 is going to be
I used to be like really scared getting in front of people and talking. And I would remember I was in junior college and I had to do in speech class, and I was like, I just didn't want to do it. And then over time, I just started doing videos and videos and videos and videos. And now where I'm at is I've done thousands of videos, and I would say that I don't prepare is my biggest downfall. I've taken no formal speaking classes, which is another downfall. And if I actually applied and thought about the videos, if you want more people to watch your content, you got to have a good thumbnail, a good title, and then when they click on it, it's got to be super engaging in the first couple seconds, right? And so problem I see that I have with the content I'm putting out is I'm not putting enough thought into it, right? I'm not even preparing. I'm just winging it. I do a fairly decent job. I'm probably a B minus.
I'm in the
what if I was an A+ speaker, right? Then I'd get more views, more people would buy from me, whatever I'm selling, right? And that's the objective now, because everybody's hearing Gary Vee and all these people. We got to create content. But if we're just creating garbage, there's no point of it, really. You got to really, I think that just putting a little of a storyboard together before you even present, you don't have to memorize necessarily, but having your bullet points in front of you. What are we talking about? When Vinney and I we'll wing our Vinney and Bo show, but what if we actually really spend 20 minutes preparing or 30 minutes before? How much better would our content be? That's a big thing.
No, you're so right, Bo. So right about it. I'm sure everybody watching us or listening to us, you are also in the same boat. I know I am. I mean, the key thing is, what do we take from there, right? How can we implement? How can we take action? That's the number one thing. We got to take action, because if we don't, we just listen to it and not implement it, then it's not worth anything watching us or listening to us. Brandon, thank you. That was amazing. The 5 points you shared. I'm going to write them down, actually. We should have author. I don't know if it's transcribing it also, brother. You both. I want this whole interview in a blog post, so that we'll be able to put it in my blog, yours. And Brandon, we provide you also, brother. This is amazing. And it's going to go into my podcast and everywhere. So share some other superpowers, yeah?
Well, just touching on what Bo was saying right there. So I retook my mentor speaker school after I had started teaching them. I paid for it. I went to it, and went in with a whole new perspective. And he said one thing that really stuck out to me. he said every presentation that he gives, he's practiced it in full at least 5 times. And here I am seeing him do a 3-day workshop. I said, you practice this entire thing 5 times through? He said, yeah. I put my cats down, I stand up, I get the camera recording going, and I'm pointing at the cats when I'm trying to make a joke. I'm looking over here when I'm trying to hit this, and I practice it at least 5 times before I give it. I said, and this is a guy who gets paid well into the 5 figures, and spoke all around the world. He got a $3 million deal with Reeboks back in the day. Like, this is a guy who's gotten paid speaking. And he said, every speech I give, I practice at least 5 times before I give it. So I really started thinking, okay, if we need to get our speakers to do the same, then 1, I have to do the same. And 2, we're gonna have to focus on shorter content, because I want to get people in the habit of this, so that when they do speak more and they do have 75-minute keynotes, they're practicing it at least 5 times like I do for my 75-minute keynote before they do it. And so that's why we start with simple drills, like Inside the Mind of the Greats, 20 to 30 seconds. That one you probably have to practice 15 to 20 times for it to stick. Then we we make it a little bit easier. Okay, do a 60-second story. Try and fit the 5 points in there in 60 seconds. And if that's too confusing, just, hey, what's a question you get asked? Answer the question. And then people start getting in the flow of content. Then by the end of the 2-day speaker school that we teach, we help them do a 5-minute keynote. And the 5-minute keynote is essentially just 5 short stories in there. And they're just sharing stories. And if you can understand how to do a 5-minute keynote, you can understand how to turn that into a 15-minute keynote. And if you can do a 15-minute keynote with that structure, you're going to understand how to turn it into a 75-minute keynote. But the key is implementing the practice that goes into delivering a good speech. And if you can think about a singer. This was crazy. I read this. I don't know how true this article is, but this blew me away, talking about getting inside the mind of the greats. I read that Taylor Swift, to prepare for her tour, her 3-hour show, she spent 6 months singing the entire 3-hour set every day on the treadmill. When it was a fast-paced song, she would jog. When it was slow-paced, she would walk. And I don't know how true this is, but this is what I read, that she did that for 6 months. And people see that she's a billionaire, but people don't see the work that goes into that.
She sold $1 billion. I think her revenues were over $1 billion just last year. Last year alone in the world tour, what I read. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That's the difference between the greats and then the people who say they want to be great.
Yeah. No, that's so true. What you're saying, Brandon, is hitting square in the face of a lot of us. And, if we want to get better in 2024, if you want to accomplish a lot more, buy back time. I really believe by honing better skills, you're able to be more productive and you're buying back time to make memories. I talked about that, the book I read, Die with Zero. Die with Zero talks about making memories while you're alive and living in the moment and so on like that.
I think the big takeaway here so far is, look, like whatever you do for a living, you need to be a better speaker, better communicator. So Vinney raises money from passive investors. I help business owners get financing, or I help them buy businesses. Like if I spend time preparing my YouTube videos where I get a ton of my leads from, if I got, 10, 20% better at delivering a message, how many more conversions am I going to get? So many more. And then I could then prepare a keynote to speak about the advantages of using SBA financing and how I can help, you get out of your boring 9-to-5 job and buy a business, and it's easy to do. And this is how we're going to do it. And create a whole speech on it, right? A whole segment. And I could start with a 5-minute segment or 10-minute segment, and I could just go around and get on other people's podcasts and do this over and over again and get really good at delivering stories, the message, and then the conversion rate would be so much higher. So anybody out there should be going to speak. I did want to go to speaker training. I tried a Toastmaster. For whatever reason, Toastmaster never resonated with me, to be honest with you.
Same.
Oh, I did Toastmaster and Dale Carnegie also. I remember many years back. But I think with the cutting edge right now, Brandon, right, you would say, so how can people reach you? Thanks, Bo. You know, what you're saying is so right. I think this is an investment, right? But I don't know how much is reasonable. People are probably looking at our faces and say, how much does it cost? You know, can I afford it? Brandon, can you throw some light on that, brother?
Yeah, I mean, like, just to touch on what Bo was saying, why do you think Toastmasters didn't connect with you as well as you may have thought it would?
It just seemed unnatural. Like, and maybe I should have spent more time, or maybe I should have, but it just didn't seem natural to me, just the progression of how you did the certain steps. And so I would think I want something more like that I could get right away, and I'm not doing these really, like, the way they just present and they open their meetings and different stuff. And I guess it's kind of like roll call. It's more military based, like thinking, whereas like I just want to like get like real perspective on how to be a better speaker and what are actionable drills I can do and practice. And then how do I start drafting my speeches and my presentations in a more effective manner? And then, you know, how do I change the tonality? Things like that. Like, I just didn't feel like I went in there and I was like, yeah, I get it. Because I do know I'd want to be a better speaker, because everything I do is now on camera or on a podcast. And the better questions I ask, the better I can present. The least I say, you know, or but, which I say all the time, because I'm learning to take pauses and things like that. So that, I mean, I would pay for it, right? And so, you know, is there online courses where you meet on Zoom and things, which would be easier than going into a 3-day event? I mean, I would go to a 3-day event, but yeah.
And like, I do, because I work with a ton of speakers, and I'd say one of the benefits of a Toastmasters is you're going to be able to get reps. But I personally, I stopped going because I went to speaker school and I just had stuff that I could apply to what I was doing. Like this, it was very applicable. So I do think there's a lot of speaking programs out there, and I think they're all worth it. But one of the things that I noticed was, if people can apply what they are learning to where they want to go right away, then we're going to be able to accelerate this process and get more people excited. So that's why we focus on repetition, content creation, as well as the education part. So we create speaker reels for all of our speakers, so they have stuff that they can send out. And then we focus a lot on repetition. So instead of just doing a 2-day workshop, we do a 3-week buildup on Zoom. That's a bonus. So they can get us once a week, and they already get implementing the stuff that we're teaching. So by the time they go to the 2-day course, they've already had 3 weeks of working with us, and they've practiced the drill for that week, maybe 5 minutes a day for the 3 weeks straight. So that's why I've seen a lot of value in just, okay, let's just get right into the fire and let's start the most important thing, which is speaking.
So true. No, this has been so enlightening. Thank you so much, Brandon, for really coming on the show. And I think a lot of people will be benefiting from it. How can they reach you, brother? Yeah,
so the best way to reach me is the Warm Heart Life Instagram, or my name, Brandon Godoris, Instagram. Just direct message me. My phone number is 607-348-6136. You can reach out through there, and happy to have a conversation with anybody.
Excellent. Maybe we'd love to bring you back again on Vinney and Bo show, and even give you more bigger platform, you know, to even do a lot more, so that, you know, we can all really become better speakers. All right. Thank you so much.
Now I'm going to practice. I'm going to join a speakers group and I'm going to go for it. It makes sense, right? Like, be a better communicator, make more money, get on. Part of my goal of 2024 was to get on bigger stages, which is a metaphor for podcasts and different things, right? Like, we need to get on bigger stages.
Me too.
The more people that hear our message, the more we can impact the world, help people, and then, more people we help. So obviously, probably line our pockets too a little bit more. So that's another amazing part of it.
Totally. Totally. All righty, brother. Thank you so much. I know I just looked at my next meeting coming up here. So I'll see you then. Thank you.